Hi, my name's Derek.
G'day man, I'm Simo, and along with Daryl Keeling, who couldn't be here today, we organised the Paxton annual ride to raise money for the Westpac Helicopter Rescue Service. So together, Derek and I and Daryl have been doing this ride for the last 15 years, and for the past 5 years we've dedicated the service to raising money for the Westpac Helicopter Service due to an injury Derek occurred 5 years ago.
There was about 8 of us that were out riding for the day, mapping out a 2-day ride that we do every year. Once I came around this blind corner, I looked up, there was a car in the middle of the road. The car hit me just behind my legs and I just fell back, and my mates was straight on the scene.
Instantaneously I knew it was bad. Yeah, it was, wasn't a pretty scene. He'd broken the main chassis rail on the front of the ute. The bonnet was all creased up. Derek's bike was broken in half.
When I hit the car and I landed backwards, the pain in my back was just horrific.
The way he was laying and the impact, I suspected a spinal injury immediately. There was no hemorrhaging. So basic first aid stuff, just did a nose to toes and a bit of an assessment. It was significant from the pain he was in that it would be internal injuries. So from that point on, it was just a matter of putting him in a supine position, supporting him and doing what we could do to keep him comfortable until help arrived.
We took information from the Aeromedical Control Centre about an incident that happened in the Waddingham Mountains where a trail bike had collided head-on with a ute on a dirt road. Given our experience, that says to us that possibly we're going to have to do a winch here because there's not a lot of places to land in the Waddingham Mountains.
To be laying down beside one of your closest mates in a table drain, having him nearly die in your arms, to see the chopper turn up and know that Derek was going to have some first-class care straight away was a big relief. So yeah, we were really happy to see the chopper come over.
We arrived on scene and there was a road ambulance in attendance. They gave us a handover. We commenced treatment, giving advanced pain management, splinting. We'd made the decision that we were going to do a winch extraction because it's the fastest way to get Derek to hospital. Then we had the problem of where we were going to winch out. So we loaded Derek in our winch stretcher and then put him inside an ambulance, and we basically drove down the road till we found a suitable site.
Getting winched up, I remember getting pulled into the helicopter. A lot of it was a bit hazy. I remember waking up in hospital the next day and the doctor telling me that I had my spine fused together, my pelvis was put back together with plates and screws, and I was crying. I cried for 4 hours, and the doctor said to me, he said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Well, look at me, like I'm in a mess." And he said, "You were the luckiest person." And he said, "You're a millimetre off never walking again."
I've stopped riding since Derek's accident, sold my bike. I was always fairly passionate about riding, and it was a really good pastime, but yeah, it's just something that I just can't get past now with, I guess, where I'm at in my stage of life and seeing Derek's injuries and his recovery time and how it's impacted his life. Yeah, it was just time to move on.
It was 13 months of work in total, and had an operation halfway through that to remove all the hardware out of my spine, but it was a different outlook after that. My 2 main goals were get back to work and a ride again.
To see him doing what he loves best is great, so it's good to see him back on his bike.
The biggest kick I get out of it is when somebody walks back into the hangar or walks back into the base and just introduces themselves, because you know that you've had a hand in them going back to normal health and normal life.
What happened that day up here will live with us all forever, I guess, because it was such a life-changing incident, and it changed everyone's lives, no one more so than Derek's. It's not until you've been involved in an incident that you have a greater understanding of how important it is. So for anyone that can support the Westpac Rescue Service, please get on board. It significantly changes the outcomes to people's incidents.
I can't say thank you enough to the boys on the day, my family and friends that supported me through the hospital, but mainly for the paramedics and the Westpac Rescue Helicopter that came out and helped. Without the Westpac Rescue Helicopter, my life would have changed dramatically that day.
So yeah, a big thank you to Westpac Rescue Helicopter. They service over 1.5 million people over the northern New South Wales, and they run purely on donation, so it's very important to us to do our bit.
So the last 4 years of doing this ride, we've raised, the first year was $1,000, went to $4,500, and I think it was $14,500, and then we jumped to $23,000 last year.
So the Westpac Rescue Helicopter Service is a vital service to the community. If this is something that you can help with, please contact us on the details below.